Hi guys, γεια σας και καλώς ήρθατε to another episode of Dimitra's Dishes. Today we're making Arnaki Fricassee, which is basically a lamb and green stew that's finished off with a classic zesty Greek lemony Avgolemono sauce. It's so delicious. Today we're doing the Instant Pot version because you guys asked for it, so I'm bringing it to you. I've already done the stovetop version, so you can get that recipe on the website. I'll put the link at the end of the video so that way you can find it easily. This is such a comforting stew that just takes me back to my childhood. I hope you guys give it a try and I hope you love it. Let's get started. So I'm using a leg of lamb that's been cut into small pieces. You can use any cut of lamb that you want. I like bone in because it has so much more flavor, but if all you have is boneless lamb, that'll work too. You can even use beef if you prefer. So what I did was I just put it on a baking tray like this and I drizzled it with a little bit of olive oil and seasoned with some salt and black pepper, tossed it around and did the same thing on the other side, and I just popped it in the oven under the broiler as close as possible to the broiler element for about 10-12 minutes so it can get beautiful color. You could also do it in the Instant Pot, but this really saves time because in the Instant Pot you would have to do it in a few batches. So this pan is still sort of hot. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lift the meat out. I'm going to leave all the pan drippings in here because lamb tends to be really fatty, so a lot of the fat already burned off and it's in these drippings right here, which do have flavor, so you can just put them back in the pot, but I'm just gonna start fresh with just the browned lamb. Okay, and you're going to need 6 to 8 scallions, also known as green onions. These have been washed. I'm gonna cut them all up, but I'm gonna put half in right now with the meat in the pot, and the other half I'm gonna reserve for the end when we're gonna put the greens in, so that way you can get that nice fresh flavor from the scallions. So I'm gonna put all the white and light green portions in right now, and I'm going to save the dark green portions for later, like I said. I'm also going to drizzle about 2-3 tablespoons of really good quality Greek olive oil. We have this now available in our shop, and it comes straight from Greece, from Crete actually. You should check it out if you need some olive oil. Season with a little bit more black pepper and a little pinch of salt. Just mix everything up. And then you could add either chicken broth or water. About 4 cups is what you need. I'm gonna put the lid on and set it to seal so that way the steam, all of the steam stays in. And then just go ahead and set the pressure cooker to 25 minutes on high pressure. Make sure, again, like I said, the vent is sealed. It's going to take a little bit of time to build the pressure up, so it will take more than 25 minutes, probably closer to about 30 or 40 minutes. Then you want to let it sit for about 20 minutes so the pressure can naturally release. 15-20 minutes should be good. Then open up the vent and let whatever steam is trapped in there, let it release. Then we're going to move on to the next step. While the lamb is cooking, you can go ahead and cut up your greens. You need a pound of greens. So I'm using romaine lettuce and also some mustard greens, but you could use collard greens, turnip greens, spinach, kale. If you're lucky enough to find velita, which are amaranth, I think it's called amaranth, you can use those. And you're also going to need a little bunch of dill. Fresh dill is best, but if you don't have it, you can use dried dill instead. Go ahead and roughly chop everything. Now, a lot of times greens need to be rinsed out several times because there's lots of dirt stuck in between the leaves, so make sure that you clean it well. While I was cutting my mustard greens, I noticed that some were not clean, so I just went and ran them under the water a few times and then drained them. If you're using the mustard greens, cut off the hard stems because they take a little bit longer to cook. The lamb should be nice and soft. Just go ahead and check it, and sure enough it is. And there should also be some broth in there. You're gonna go ahead and add all of the greens that you chopped up along with the dill and the remaining scallions that were in there. In there meaning on the counter with the greens, the ones that we reserved. Season with a little bit more salt and some black pepper. Once the greens are in, you're just going to want to hit the saute button. You're going to probably have to cancel it first, depending on which machine you have. Hit the saute button. It's going to take about 10 to maybe 15 minutes for the greens to cook down and wilt and just to be nice and tender. Keep an eye on them. So as soon as they're done, we're just going to finish off the Avgolemono sauce. That's going to thicken this and give this body and a velvety texture. We'll move on to the next step once we get there. All right, so the lamb is even more tender. The leaves are perfectly cooked. And now it's time to make the avgolemono, which is super simple. You're gonna need about 1/4 to 1/2 cup of freshly squeezed lemon juice. I like it very lemony, so I'm gonna go with the full 1/2 cup, but you can start with 1/4 and then add more if you want. We're gonna need 3 egg yolks. I'm just gonna save the whites for cookies for later on. I'll keep them in my refrigerator. We do not eat egg white omelets or scrambled egg whites here. I just think it doesn't taste good at all. But if that's what you like to do, you can use them in that. But they make really nice meringues, little meringue cookies. The amigdalota that I have that are little almond meringue cookies. They're chewy and delicious, and I think they have like 4 or 5 ingredients. Come together in no time. I'm gonna use it for that. Okay, we have 3 yolks. Some people like to use the whites in the avgolemono sauce, but I like just the yolks. It keeps it nice and rich. A tablespoon of cornstarch to help it thicken. I get this big bucket from Amazon because it's GMO free, it's non-GMO. And I use a lot of cornstarch because I make a lot of pudding and a lot of avgolemono sauces. I'm gonna go ahead and add 1/2 cup, and I just eyeball it because I love it extra lemony. And just whisk it until it's all nice and smooth. I'm also gonna put a little pinch of salt in here, just a tiny bit. And then it's time to temper it. So when you temper it, you add some of the hot broth that's in the stew. It's okay if you get some of the greens in there. And that helps the eggs temperature rise, so that way they don't scramble when they go in, and it makes a nice smooth sauce. And because I like a little more broth, I should have added a little more water when I was pressure cooking the meat. I'm just gonna add some chicken broth to this. You can do water instead. That was about 1.5 cups probably. Just mix it all up. And now it's ready to go in. I also set it to the saute setting again, so that way it can start warming it up. Once it comes to a boil, I'm not gonna keep mixing it because it's gonna break up all of the meat. I'm just gonna swirl it all around. And I should have also tasted the seasoning at this point. Go ahead and taste the seasoning before you add the egg in. And if it needs more salt and pepper, you can add it. I'm gonna add it in a little bit later. Once it boils, then it's gonna begin to thicken. All you need is for this to boil for like 2 to 3 minutes. Then you can turn off the heat. You can press cancel on the machine and it's gonna be ready. So the stew is ready, and I realized that I forgot to hit play whenever I was adding the sauce to the pot. But I basically narrated the whole thing, and it's simple to do, especially if you've been watching me make several avgolemono dishes here. It really is simple, but I don't know what happens to me when I'm filming videos. I just forget some things. My mind just freezes. Anyway, it is time to take a bite. I tasted it earlier, and the salt was perfect. Let's see how lemony it is. Lemony. That's how I like it. Like I said, start with 1/4 cup and work your way up and see how lemony you like it, because you can add too much, but you can't add too little. You know what I mean? The greens are perfectly cooked, but they're not melted, right? The meat is falling apart. It's so nice and soft. That's just the way I like it. If you like your lamb a little bit more firm, I guess pressure cook it for 15 minutes and see how it goes. You could always cook it a little longer. The Instant Pot makes this recipe so quick and easy, really saves you a lot of time, because it takes 1.5 hours just to cook the lamb on the stovetop to get it nice and soft. So the whole meal is ready in like under an hour in the Instant Pot. Saves you time and makes life easy. What could be better? I hope you guys give this recipe a try. The recipe is on the website, as always, dimitrasdishes.com. Serve this with some toasted bread, a nice salad. If you want to learn how to make the stovetop version, click right here. If you're watching on Facebook, you won't be able to click here. There's a link on top of the video, along with the link for the recipe that takes you straight to the blog. Thank you guys so much for spending time with me today. I'll see you all next time. Yes, us.